All good.
All right.
There we go.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Travis. I am with Launch Mission Creative, and I hope you can join us as we talk about Illustrated by Design. And I'm sitting here with Lee Dixon, my illustrator for Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties on my end, but we're ready to get going now. Just to give a little update on things with my Kickstarter campaign. Right now, but hopefully we'll get there. And what I have decided to do with this broadcast is, and actually anyone, whether you're watching now or later, if will ask me for a custom URL, and I'm going to show it here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Hopefully it works. There it is. The Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort blanket. And this blanket features 6 styles of blanket forts, all illustrated by Lee here. And so whoever basically raises the most amount of funds towards my campaign by sharing and telling your friends and family about it will earn this blanket fort valued at $40. It's actually for sale now on the campaign. You can reserve it. You just to your backing. So if you will message me or leave a comment or something and just let me know that you want that custom URL to share, every person will get their own URL, and that's how I'll be tracking who earns the most money. So that's basically how it works. So let's get on with the show. Lee Dixon is just doing a fantastic job with Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort. I'm so thrilled with what you've done with the book, and excited to have you on for I hope to be a whole series of books. And
that would be
yeah,
very exciting.
yeah, it would be. Tell us a little bit about your background and your personal life, and just kind of introduce yourself here.
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, my name's Lee. I have a wife and 2 kids. Micah, who's 2, and I've got a little baby girl called Nora, who's soon to be 5 months. So they definitely keep me busy, amongst other things. And yeah, I do a lot of my sort of like the children's book illustrating and everything, sort of in my free time, alongside a full-time job. So yeah, but I live on the wonderful England coastline in sunny Bournemouth. Uh, so yeah, that's kind of my personal life as such. Anything else you wanted to sort of
Yeah.
delve into there?
Um, Bournemouth, how close is that to Weymouth? I think I've told you before, I've been to Weymouth.
Okay, yeah, it's not too far from Weymouth. It's about probably just over an hour's
Yeah.
drive away.
Okay.
So yeah, not too far.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So tell us a little bit about how you got into illustrating children's books.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I've been drawing sort of short stories, characters, and that for as long as I can remember. And then I think I sort of after being at school made the decision to sort of continue down that route, going to art college um, here in Bournemouth, and um, I did a 2-year course of just sort of exploring different areas of what the uni sort of offered. And then after that,
Mhm.
actually went into like illustration for university, and it was there that we did a course, like a project on children's books. Um,
Okay.
and sort of just having like an introduction of what it is to sort of like make a children's book, plan a children's book, and all the different like sort of processes. And I think it was then that it just sort of captivated me, and just sort of I don't know, the experience of being able to sort of build a child's imagination with stories and help them sort of understand things using picture books and things like that. I think that really sort of was the main thing that got me interested in doing it, and having these like elaborate stories that you could, you have to stick to some boundaries, but most of the time with kids' books is you can sort of go past those. And yeah, it was real fun to work with.
Yeah.
And I think I was lucky enough to a friend of mine, his mum was in the process of, she'd written like loads of children's books, like stories, and she wanted them illustrated. So whilst I was at uni, she asked me to start illustrating her books. So I kind of had this this real lucky break, I guess. I was very fortunate to kind of work alongside someone whilst at uni on a children's book, and it was just so fun, the whole process. And I just kind of made that decision then that that's the avenue that I wanted to sort of take. So yeah, that's basically like how it all began. And obviously, like when we were sort of like doing the projects and things, sort of finding out like illustrators and different people that have written books and done both. I mean, you must know like Oliver Jeffers and the stories that he does. Someone like him who his way of sort of captivating images and that is just so clever, and the way he like lays his pages out are so interesting. And there's many other illustrators that have sort of inspired me to kind of keep going and try different things out. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Oliver. I actually met him several years ago at a design conference in Atlanta.
Oh wow!
And
Yeah,
got to buy one of his books and have it signed and listen to him. He was like the head speaker that day, and yeah, it was interesting because he said he didn't really claim to be an illustrator. In fact, he thought he was a really bad illustrator, but he just kind of accepted that and kind of made it his thing. So it's kind of fun.
it is incredible.
I love the creativity. Yeah. I have the Incredible Book Eating Boy, I think it's called,
Yes.
and each page the illustrations are kind of laid on like these antique or kind of
Yeah.
browned paper, old postcards, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
really cool stuff. I like it.
it is amazing. I think I
Yeah.
saw him a couple of years ago when he was doing it was when one of his newest books came out. I think it was The Fate of Faso, one of his newest ones, and he was doing a book
Sounds
reading on it.
familiar.
And it was just fascinating to watch him sort of explain the story, but illustrating as he goes on, and it was just just very very clever man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little bit of a housekeeping. I'm experiencing some glitching and freezing, so I'm hoping it's not on the end of the watchers. But if it is, just leave a comment for me, and you can do that by going into there should be a link to go into YouTube. If you're on my website, go into YouTube and leave a comment, and we'll be able to see it here, both Lee and myself. And just let us know if you're seeing the same thing I am. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it is what it is tonight. So yeah, let's move on. What area of illustration do you enjoy the most? Like, I know there's, of course, character development and environment, and there's so many different ways you can go with it. What is it that really lights you up?
Yeah, I think in terms of working with like children's books, I think character development is a massive like enjoyment of mine. Making sure that when I'm reading that story, that character really fits what you're reading about, and getting the right facial expressions, and making sure that you can sort of get those feelings throughout the story. I think that's always been a sort of a fun aspect of it. And but I think also I've and this has come over sort of the years that I've done it, working on like composition and the different angles that you can approach pages, making them dynamic, or whether whether it needs to be sort of pulled back, like pared back a little bit, so it's spot illustrations, and not just like full pages full page illustrations. But so when you're reading the book, it's not all the same. You turn a page, and when you're kind of faced with like a spot illustration, and when you've been having like full illustrations, it kind of just keeps you engaged and everything like that. So I find that sort of really fun. And I think as well, when I've been planning children's books, I kind of read them as if I'm watching a film. So as I'm reading through the story, I want to be able to sort of follow the flow of that story, and then you're kind of picking those interesting scenes, and they're the ones that you want to have in the book. Yeah. So it's like, when there's an action scene, you want to get that sort of mid, when everything's going off, and that's always fun.
That's what I've really appreciated about your work with Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort, because it could have been easy to kind of have this one point of view the whole time with the kids in front of their fort or whatever, but you were able to show it from different angles and zoom in and really kind of capture the whole scene so well. And just speaking about character development, that's really what attracted me to your work from the very beginning. And we're going to talk a little bit about how clients find you, but I happened to find you on Instagram and saw all of the characters that you have there and the detail that you put into it. I mean, I could really tell that was something that you love doing.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Are there any other areas that you appreciate?
Yeah, I think one that, again, has taken quite a while to develop and enjoy is, I think, because I've always been so interested in doing the character designs, I think sometimes, or early on, my backgrounds and environment kind of always took a bit of a backstage. But I think as I've sort of done more books, you kind of appreciate that, the background is more of an element to the book than anything else, really. You want to sort of set the scene. And so I've really come to sort of enjoy doing the background and the environment side of things as well, making sure that all of it sort of flows nicely.
Yeah, that's good. I was just a couple of days ago, I was looking at some of the books that you've done. Your website's a little behind, as
it's
mine
a little
is
bit behind.
as well. The portfolio is a little lacking, as mine is. But I saw that you had several on Amazon by other authors, and one author in particular had, I don't know, 3 or 4 books that you've done, and you've been able to kind of work with several different genres of books. I saw a Christmas book, and you just did this book with Sarah Crisp. Tell me the name of it again. Rabbit's.
It is
something.
Rabbit's Curious Plan.
Rabbit's Curious Plan. Yeah. So what are some genres that you really get attracted to, or if you have an author contact you and they tell you, this is what my book's about, and then that just really gets you excited?
Yeah, I think I don't think I've never had a sort of author come to me and I've never been sort of disappointed with the genre. I think what's been really interesting is I used to hate drawing animals, and I think out of all the books I've done, I think I've drawn more books with animals as their main characters than anything else. So it's been quite funny and quite challenging,
Yeah.
but I've really appreciated it in the sense that it's helped me sort of develop that side of things. I think like genres that really interest me, and I do sort of hope to sort of see more of these pop up eventually. Is like I quite enjoy sort of historic stories uh, and biblical stories. I'd love to be able to sort of delve more into the biblical side of things and sort of really immerse myself in the stories in there. I've always sort of played around with sort of illustrating my own versions of well known Bible stories and that because I think
Hmm.
there's just so many incredible stories that that could be made wonderfully into children's books, and I think that would be a real passion of mine to be able to hit one of those. But I think one of the
Yeah,
early,
I've really
go on.
just really enjoyed seeing some of your personal work on Instagram with biblical characters and scenes. And
Mm.
we're both men of faith, and so we can talk about that freely on my channel here. But we that was something that really brought us together with this book, and we've been able to encourage each other and pray for each other personally, for each other's families and stuff while we've been going through this whole process, which is just really been special, I think, for both of us.
Mm.
And I appreciate that. I think there's something to that, whether you're a believer or not, that if you're an author or an illustrator, that you get connected with someone who kind of has the same mindset as you, if that
100%,
makes sense.
100%. Yeah, and I think I completely agree. I think like early on, having that sort of having that ability to be able to pray for each other and sort of encourage each other through the story, and also like I think it was when we were sort of deciding about the front cover, and instead of
Hmm.
sort of hashing out loads of illustrations, but having that moment where we could be like, let's just take a moment to step back, pray about it, and then come back to it. I think
Yeah.
I try and do that in my own practice, but to be able to do that with alongside the author as well has been really exciting, really helpful.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I agree. That cover was a struggle for both of us, and it was great to see it finally come together, and
Mm.
I really like the finished product there. So that's great. Um, okay, so I found you on Instagram, and that's actually how I found both of my illustrators for my books, just by searching hashtags. But how do people typically find you? I'm sure there's one way that you would like for them to find you. Maybe it's directly on your
Yeah,
website or wherever. But how are they typically getting connected with you or finding your work?
I think I think Instagram has definitely been like a main source for me, and I remember when I first got Instagram, I always wanted to use it as an online portfolio because I know I've got my website, but I find Instagram is so much easier to update, to keep fresh, and obviously to
Hmm.
sort of show processes and other things. Um, Whereas obviously when you're uploading it to your website, like we've already said, it's so behind. I think there's so much more that you've got to put more time into sort of sorting out your website. So I've always wanted Instagram to be a sort of professional platform that just shows my work, and I've I think, yeah, most people that I've worked with have, I've always pointed to my Instagram page, or they've found me through my Instagram page, which has really been what I've wanted all along with, like, for my page. I've wanted people to sort of get in touch with me, talk about my work, ask me about, illustrating children's books. So yeah, I think like that's probably been like the most successful thing. The website, I think it's always good to have a website, and I think going through uni they always encourage you to have a website. So I think that's why I've got one, is to feel, I can tick a box.
Yeah.
And it's but I probably should spend more time updating the website and doing that, because I think it could prove to be helpful in other ways. But yeah, 100%, like the Instagram page has definitely been my sort of my main source of contact with people asking for work and things.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing like short videos of sketches and things, even on like TikTok or through Instagram Reels or anything?
So I've got a long list of things that I've always wanted to sort of upload and put on. I think where I have a full-time job, and it's having that time to be able to sort of put it. You want to make, if you're going to do those things, you want to make it good. You don't. I wouldn't want to sort of do it half-heartedly. I'd want it to be engaging for people to enjoy. And I think when I've got projects on, I tend to kind of reel back on sort of social media and focus on the project. So because otherwise I get so lost with what I'm trying to do, and I like to sort of right, this is what I'm focusing on, then I can sort of go back into doing that sort of thing. So I've got a library of things that need to be uploaded. They just haven't been uploaded yet. But TikTok is, TikTok's a funny thing. I've tried staying away from it because I feel like I'll just be too immersed in it. But then at the same time, I feel like for showing processes, it could actually be quite a good platform to use. I think short videos are such a popular thing at the moment, and that's what sort of people are sort of captivated by at the moment, are just watching short videos. And I mean I do it myself. The main reason why I don't have TikTok is because I could just spend hours on it watching these videos. So yeah, TikTok is definitely on the list of things that I'm going to hopefully venture into.
I get that. I've been tempted to post things about my book on TikTok, but you get so spread so thin if you kind of involved in all these different social media. I've started using a little bit of the Instagram Reels as well as YouTube Shorts to show different things for my own design business. But it's definitely a tempting source or a tempting platform for creatives, or really anyone.
And I think that's what attracted me with Instagram when I first did it, is the creative sort of, in like the amount of creative people that are on these apps, these social media apps, it's just been so amazing. I've got in touch with so many new illustrators and people that are so talented in that. So yeah, it's definitely will definitely be worth it.
We have a comment from Tanya Bay, and she says, "Me too. Social media can distract me so much at times." And then second one, yet beneficial as well. So yeah, like social media can be very distracting at times, and
Mm.
I'll be one to say I'm actually addicted to social media and just information in general. I'm constantly on my phone and way too much, and it distracts me from the work that I need to accomplish. And
Yeah.
do you struggle with that as well, or are you able to kind of control how much you're on?
Yeah, I think when I have the time to sort of upload things to Instagram, I think um, it's definitely there's definitely that trap of you feel you've got to produce things to post, and it gets to the point where
Hmm.
you're not illustrating for or drawing things for yourself. You feel like you've got to do it for Instagram. You've got to do it for people to see,
Yeah,
and sort of keep that all going. I
yeah.
think, and I think that's a real danger because
Hmm.
you end up sort of producing things that you just yeah you're not really illustrating things that you want to be illustrating. It's more what you feel like other people want to see you do. um,
Hmm.
so I do try and reel myself back sometimes, and uh, you know have little breaks because especially when like I'm trying to use Instagram as a portfolio. I'll be making sure that the stuff that I'm putting on there are things that I've taken time on and that I've done for a reason, not just to kind of get likes and comments and things like that. But yeah, it is very distracting.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's a good tip for not only creatives, but well, I don't know, authors are also creative, so that's the wrong term there. But I think we can all benefit from that, from really thinking about what we post and putting time into creating what we post. Because I know I tend to just kind of get an idea and I'll try to throw it together as fast as I can and get it out as
Mm.
fast as I can
Yeah,
instead of
yeah,
really planning and taking time with it. And I think then if you're able to do that, then it looks so much more professional and just doesn't look like a hot mess like mine does. And
the
but
best thing about Instagram is
yeah,
you can archive things. So
yeah.
if you get sick of seeing it, you can just take it out.
That's good. That's good. Um, so let's talk about your creativity and getting into kind of working along with the author. And
Mm.
I know some authors, they like to provide, I think they call them book dummies, where you have these thumbnails with sketches inside, and it pretty much shows what each page is supposed to look like. And then they might have
Yeah,
a whole page full of notes for that one page. And do you like to kind of follow that? Do you like that kind of structure, or do you prefer kind of the creativity that comes with the freedom of just having the
yeah.
manuscript and seeing what you come up with?
I've been really fortunate to sort of work with authors that kind of process both of those ways. Um,
Yeah.
so I think the first author I worked with, this was when I was still at uni, which was really it was quite fun actually, and it was I think that's what sort of kept me going with children's books is she just gave me like complete freedom.
Hmm.
She gave me the story, and she said, read the book, read the stories, and just illustrate how you think it will all work. And that was great, and it was really I really enjoyed that. But then I think as well, like even having notes from the author can be helpful and is helpful because at the end of the day, like the story is your book. You've thought about this book. You've written this book, so in your head you're going to sort of
Hmm.
see how you want that page to look to some extent. You're going to kind of have a visual, some sort of visual. So having those notes kind of allows me to sort of delve into that sort of mindset that you're in. um, and still, like, even with notes, I've still been given that the freedom of being able to adapt it, or I don't think I've ever had it where they've sort of said, you need to illustrate it exactly like this. They've kind of given me outlines of how they want it done, but have kind of allowed me to interpret how I, see fit. So yeah, I think I mean, for me, I always, even if there are notes, I always sort of read through the manuscript, always read through the story, get a real feeling for it. And normally when I'm doing that, I'm sort of thinking, like I was saying before, when I read it, I sort of journey through it as if it's a film. So I'm sort of seeing like the characters moving from one sentence to the next, and how that will sort of look when you want to illustrate that on a page. So there have been times where I've questioned the author's notes and been like, how would you feel about this? And sometimes it's worked. Sometimes they're like, let's keep it to that. And I'm like, okay.
But I think, it's important to kind of feel like you have some ownership in it. Your name is on the book, and so it's important to kind of feel like it's yours in a way too, and so to be able to put sort of your mark on it and offer those suggestions, and I think that's a good way to go about it. I know there's some authors that they won't give the illustrator as much credit as what's deserved. And I think, for any authors that watch this in the future, I would really encourage you to, consider the illustrator, just as important as the manuscript itself, because the illustrator can take the story so much further than the words themselves. And that's exactly what the art should be doing. That's why it's a picture book, If it was just words on a page, that would be completely different. So now the next question is, I don't want you to think of me like
this was a dangerous question.
I don't want you to think of me like your client here. Okay. So but the question is, what annoys you about authors? And feel free to, talk bad about me all you want to. This is free reign here for you. But just from the perspective, because I probably have a lot of authors that are watching this or will watch it in the future, and I think it's good for them to know how to interact with the illustrator, and what boundaries they should have in place, and how to work with their illustrator. So tell me your answer to this.
I think I think this is the one question I've been thinking about all day. How to answer. And not because I think, again, I've been so fortunate, so blessed to sort of work with authors that have been really clear, really encouraged by the work that I've done. That I don't think I've ever really come across anything that's annoyed me as such. I think, again, I don't think I really get annoyed, because, like I was saying before, and and this isn't me sort of not wanting to sort of take ownership, or like kind of, I do always look at the book or the story as being the author's book, and I feel like I'm illustrating what they've got in their head, and obviously because I'm not in their head, I know, and I sort of make in my head the fact that they are going to want to change stuff. They are going to want to tweak images, the way that a character stood or where the characters stood. So, and I think Procreate and Photoshop it does wonders for this, because you can use layers and it's easy to move them. When I worked with my first author, I did it all freehand. And so completing a page and then having tweaks and changes was that was a different story. That was hard because I'd have to completely redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
But again, I think, yeah, I think I've always got in the back of my head that understanding that they already have some sort of idea of how they want that page to look, and I'm trying to reach that visual myself. So yeah, I think obviously like the Illustrator notes, that's when they come in really helpful, because they're sort of already giving you that sort of inside sight of how they want things done. So yeah, I think I can be quite pleasant on this one. So you're safe, Travis. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think just from a personal standpoint, like when you have to offer, a request to move a character here and there, and it may take a few tries to get it. You feel like, okay, maybe I'm pushing my limit here, So it's comforting, and I think I deal with that as a designer as well. When clients working with thoughts and placement and everything, I deal with the same thing. They often express to me that, oh, I hope I'm not annoying you, or pushing boundaries here or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that's good. Good answer there, I guess.
It's all good.
I was really hoping for something really dirty, but
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. I can produce anything. Maybe I'm just being too kind. I don't know.
So no, that's good. So if you could just walk us through like the illustration process from when the client first contacts you and says, "Hey, I have this manuscript for you to look at." What are the different steps you take from there to completion?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I normally, when someone gets in touch with me about illustrating a book, I would generally ask for the manuscript first, so I can sort of read through the story, get a sort of a feeling for it, and an idea of what the story's about. And then I think normally I would normally start with sort of doing some character designs, especially with like, it would normally just be with like the main characters, getting an idea of like what they will look like, what how they would kind of act. I know like you're only seeing it on like a page, but you wanna get in your head how that character is going to be throughout the story. What would that character sort of, how that character react to different things. And I think as well that then gives a sort of head, like an opening for the author to see what the kind of work I'd be producing. I think I did this with yourself. I sort of took the main characters, I illustrated them in different sort of action forms, and doing different things. And I think it just helps. It helps start that connection with the author and the illustrator to make sure that we're on the same page, and understanding of how we want these characters to be like. And then once that's all agreed, I would again go back to the story and storyboard it roughly, sort of page by page. And I'd say that's probably where I kind of do that in the hope that that's when, this is what I should have said for the last one. This stage is where I like seeing the changes being made, because I've not done anything complete. So I like to do the storyboards, so you can see where characters are going to be positioned, where how the scene's going to be set, whether it's going to be a page spread or single page. And it's only until sort of they're all agreed and sort of happy to proceed with those that I would then start going into more detail with each of the pages. But yeah, that's sort of like my main
That's good.
starting point.
Yeah. And I think you're right about the character development. It really kind of starts to bring the characters to life for probably you and the author. It's a great way to start. And I know, most illustrators probably start that way. And I think, there's a lot of conversation among designers and authors and illustrators about Fiverr, and I'm not a advocate for Fiverr. I'm not a fan at all, and I think a lot of people on Fiverr are just trying to do jobs as quick as possible to earn whatever amount that they've agreed at. And so steps like that, character development, might be skipped, or I don't want to go too deep into that, but definitely, if you're an author watching this, find an illustrator that will show you the whole process, the sketches and the character development, the emotions of those characters, and because there's a danger in hiring someone that might be reusing characters from other books or even stock imagery and stuff like that. So I think that being able to see the process along the way is so helpful.
Yeah, and I think like it adds to that journey of, you can look back once that book's finished, you can look back and see how it all started, and see the progression. And I think that's one of the best things about it, is sort of looking at the character designs and how they transformed and changed, and then sort of looking at the end of the book and being like, oh, wow, they're the characters. It's great.
Yeah. So you've helped a lot of authors with their books, and we can see from your Instagram that you love developing these characters of your own. I love the Wild West characters. That's really what got me excited, were those Wild West characters. But you've also done Gandalf from Lord of the Rings and other characters from that series, and the biblical characters and stories that you talked about. So, Lee, have you ever thought about writing and illustrating your own book, or have you, or do you have something in mind that you're working towards?
So this is a very long ongoing process. So I'm glad you mentioned about the Western characters. So I've actually been playing with that idea since I was at uni, which was, I left uni back in 2014. So it's been a long project. And I love comic books and I love children's books. And I really wanted to make this Western sort of integration, like with both of them, having the different frames and everything like that, but having it, that children can read it as well. And I just found like the Western genre is something that, I don't know, I feel like it's not touched upon as much as I feel like it should be. I think it's such a fun genre. There's so much that can be done with it, but I think I overthink things way too much, and that's what takes me a long time to sort. I've just not been able to do anything with it. I kind of get so far, and then I have to stop, and then when I come back to redoing it again, everything's changed, and I'm back to square one again. And then I guess alongside that, like the biblical characters, I again like I really love the idea of illustrating children like biblical stories. On my Instagram page, I've done a few for David and Goliath. I think it's such a well known story, and for adults and children. And I think there's so much that can be taught from that. And I think that's the thing, being a believer, being able to illustrate these stories, using the gifts that God's given me to be able to do, and sort of use those gifts to glorify Him. I just can't think of anything better to do. So hopefully one day there will be a story that I've written and illustrated that will do that.
You just need to add a few more hours to the day, right?
Exactly. Oh man, slow that sun down.
Yeah. So what are you working on now, or what's coming up for you? I know you just finished, actually, I guess before my book, you finished Sarah Crisp's book, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And there's something really exciting with hers now. Talk a little bit about that, but also what else is going on? What are you working on right now? Or what's in the next few months?
So the book that I finished with Sarah Crisp has done amazing. She's had the time to promote it, and she's been able to get it into local bookstores and everything. But recently we had it put in a local farm shop where we live, and they had an adventure trail, and they've basically wanted to theme that adventure trail on her book. So using the characters and having them sort of cut out big sizes so you can take photos and everything with them, and that's going to be kind of like an ongoing thing. So this year in particular, we're going to be changing it in the summer and for other sort of like holidays throughout the year, to theme them that way. So that's really exciting. It's definitely something that I've not done before. And I think I was saying to you earlier, Travis, it's been amazing to sort of see the book go further than the book. Sort of seeing it as, this thing where people can actually go and interact with. So yeah, that's been really fun. I'm currently coming to the end of another book, which unfortunately I can't share anything about this one. It's under wraps, top secret.
Okay.
But it is going to be a fun book. And then after having a small break to sort of just get myself kind of back together, there's a couple of books I've been sort of reached out to for the next couple of months. So I don't know much about those stories yet, but I'm very much looking forward to getting involved with those. So yeah. Maybe throwing in one of my own ones, but we'll see.
Yeah, you got to fit that in somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you talked about Sarah's book, because I think it's such a creative way to promote a book. I've never seen anything like it. To have sort of this trail activity trail, really. I mean, there's activities along the way and things you can do, and kind of interactive, and with these large cutouts of the creatures is just really impressive, very creative with how that's happening. And so this is going to be a long-term thing. It's not just a short few weeks.
So the farm shop that we've got it in has kind of, I think they want to back local sources. So Sarah's local, I'm local to the area, and I think that's one thing that's been really good about like the process with that book is it just feels like it's just like a creative community that just really wants to pull together and help out each other and sort of really promote like each other. We're promoting their shop. I'm being promoted. Sarah's being promoted, and it's so nice to see. And it's been amazing, the feedback and sort of seeing people enjoying the adventure trail, and hopefully they'll be able to sort of expand on the activities that are there and everything. So yeah, it's definitely fun times ahead with that. 100%.
That's really cool. Yeah. And don't get too far into the year, because we do have the sequel to Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort, which I
I'm already
announced
looking
on
forward to
my
it.
Kickstarter campaign, Never Ever Build a Soapbox Car. So that's going to be really exciting.
That's going to be a fun
I
one.
hope you'll save a little chunk of time for me.
100%.
Well, I do have a couple of, I'm going to call them lightning round questions for you that I did not tell you about beforehand.
Okay.
But first of all, I just wanted to kind of remind people about the Blanket Fort blanket, which you can win. And the way you do that is ask me for a custom URL that you can share on social media, and whoever raises the most amount of money will win this blanket fort with 6 styles of blanket forts on it. The blanket has 6 styles of blanket forts on it. So really cool illustrations there. These they're not technically part of the story itself. These were extra drawings, illustrations that I had Lee create for us, and really special that came together. And I've actually got not only the blanket, but I've got pillows available, pillowcases on the campaign that people can buy, and each pillowcase has one style on each side. So that's a really cool thing too. I don't know if anyone will buy it, because it was kind of late to the game. I just added it this week, so we'll see. But I hope somebody enjoys that. So on to the lightning round. Just a couple of questions. What was your favorite book as a kid?
Favorite book as a kid? Oh man, I think it's going to have to be The Hungry Caterpillar. I remember reading that one so much.
Yeah.
And I think solely because the way that it was produced was so interesting. Seeing this caterpillar kind of venture through each page, and I think 100%, it was that book.
Yeah, I love the cutouts and the holes that go through each page. It's really cool. Yeah.
I think just any book that was sort of interactive like that was definitely a winner for me.
Yeah.
I'd probably say I probably read more kids books now than I did when I was a kid. I think I've got more kids books than my son.
I told somebody recently that I kind of feel like a fraud, because I'm an author publishing children's books, but I really don't read myself. But that's not really true, because I read a lot of children's books to my kids, and of course the books for clients and stuff.
I just read them to myself.
It doesn't go beyond my reading really doesn't go beyond children's books.
Mine rarely does. It rarely does.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is, what was the last book you read to your kids?
So the last book I read, it was actually a book by I can't remember the writer's name, which is really bad, but I know the illustrator's name. It's Catalina, and the book is called A Friend That Forgives. And it's it's a biblical book on the friendship between Peter and Jesus, and how no matter how many times Peter let Jesus down, Jesus always forgave him, especially, when Jesus was taken by the guards to be put on the cross. He he denied him 3 times, and yet still Jesus came and had breakfast with him and had fish, which was well, I remember that's a statement that they kept making in the book. uh, so yeah, that was the last book that I read, and yeah, it was a good one. It's a good one.
Very cool. Well, Lee, it's been a pleasure to talk to you tonight and to get to know you a bit more. If you could just let those who are watching know how they can get in touch with you, how they can see your work, where they can find you.
Yeah, definitely. So as I was saying before, I think Instagram is definitely my main port of call,
Yeah.
which is lee.dixon.illustrations. And yeah, always feel free to drop me a message about my work, how I, my process and everything. Or just going on my website, which again is just Lee DixonIllustrations.com. You'll be able to find me there as well. I tend to respond quicker on Instagram than I would on through the website, just because that goes through to my emails, and I'm not the best at replying to emails all the time. So yeah, but that's the best way to get to me.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Lee, thanks again. And looking forward to seeing that Wild West book come out soon.
So am I. I don't know when, but I am. So.
All right. Thanks everyone who's watched this, and I hope that you will go in and see Lee's work on Instagram and check out the books he's worked on, as well as look more into our book that we've worked on together. Right on Kickstarter, you can search for "Never Ever Build a Blanket Fort." I'm sure that the link should also be down in the description wherever you're watching this. So go check it out. And that is it. Thanks so much.
Amazing. Thank you.